Chickies is a very interesting place. Its history goes back to the early 1600s. A local archaeologist found canoes and beads and pottery in a small cave at the foot of Chickies Rock. There were a lot of burial sites around here from two different Indian tribes that lived here. This has been the site of many deaths, whether they were intentional or people just ending their lives because they don't want to live in this world anymore. A lot of rock climbers come to the face of Chickies and come up and practice their skills. Unfortunately, there have been quite a few that have had to be rescued by the local fire department and rescue teams.
I'm a member of the local search and rescue team, and we had gotten a call that a man had committed suicide up in the wooded area around Chickies Rock. So our team was dispatched to try to retrieve and recover the body. When we got to site, we split up, which is standard operating procedure, to try to cover as much ground as possible, as quickly as possible. I had just cut through some pretty heavy brush down to one of the main access trails. That's a little bit easier walking. Hadn't seen anything yet.
Just walking through access road on the trail. So far, nothing yet. Out.
Suddenly, I felt an intense cold feeling. I looked off to my right. I didn't really know how to describe this for you. A shadowy figure, very dark, about 8 or 9 feet tall. It actually looked down at me and pointed at me and then disappeared. Just seconds later, this thing popped up over to my left, only about 15 feet from me. It looked like it was about to move towards me, and I don't mind saying it, I was completely terrified, and I got the hell out of there as fast as I could. I will not do any more work up on Chickies Rock. I won't go back up there to this day.
I love coming up here to go jogging. It's probably my favorite place to go. I come up whenever I can, mostly on the weekends. I came up not too long ago. I drove up early in the morning, and it was odd. I started hearing this kind of tribal Indian drumming. So I thought maybe there was some kind of ceremony going on. So I started to follow the drum, and it kept getting louder and louder. I don't know if you've ever been around these kind of drum circles, but the sound is unmistakable. The drums are like really deep and resonant. I could actually hear the drumsticks hitting the animal skin. It was really vivid. The sound kind of led me up this ride. And the moment that I stepped in the clearing, the drum beat stopped mid-beat. Normally a drum will kind of ring on after it stops, kind of echo, but this was sudden dead silence. And there was also this feeling, I felt like some kind of energy, almost like that feeling like someone's watching you kind of thing. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain.
Well, there's an interesting theory about Chickies Rock. It concerns ley lines, and apparently where these ley lines intersect, there's increased electromagnetic activity. So that's one theory as to why this area is so haunted.
So I was hiking through the woods about 5 miles from my house, and I was trying to find a good spot to lay out my blind. And I came upon this old foundation of, looked like an old farmhouse or something. And I went to look at the foundation, and out of that came this young Amish couple. They started walking across the foundation, so I was wanting to follow them because it was hunting season after all. It was kind of dangerous for them to be out there. And they were just effortlessly going through branches and brambles, and they went through this really thick briar brush at one point. I had a lot of trouble getting through it, but they just seemed to go through it completely effortlessly. They were approaching the rock, Chickies Rock, and knowing all the things that go on up there, all the people that jump, they were walking right towards it, so I told them, don't jump. after them, and they were gone. So I walked back up, and I wanted to retrace my steps. And as I walked back up, I came back across the foundation again, and there they were. Disappeared right into the foundation. It was the weirdest thing I ever saw.
When we return, confirmed sightings of a Bigfoot creature at Chickies Rock.
Papa John's scouting report in the...
Are you gonna pause? You gonna do a second one?
Ting Back from the Dead on Destination America.
The phenomena at Chickies Rock is very difficult to explain. The only way I can describe it is that it has a life of its own. At least it seems like that.
So I was working nights at the time. I didn't get off work till about 3 a.m. that night. The drive home takes me right past Chickies Rock. So I'm driving home. This figure, what I thought was a person, appears in the road in front of me, and it was big. Like, I thought it was just this big guy, right? The closer I got to it, the more I realized that it wasn't a person. Well, this thing, you could tell it wasn't an animal. Like, the glow in his eyes, it seemed to come from within. I just slammed the horn down, and I look up, and it's gone. So, going to work, I drove by the next morning, and there was no sign of anything. About 2 weeks later, I'm driving and I'm listening to one of those call-in talk radio shows, and I hear this woman describing the exact same thing I experienced.
Tell us about your experience.
This place called Chickies Rock, and it's actually right around here. I saw something come towards me, and, if I describe it, you probably wouldn't believe me, but it was really big, and, it had these eyes that were, they almost glowed.
So I called the DJ, and I begged this guy to give her my number. Yes, I need you to put me through to the DJ.
I called into that radio show mostly because I needed to tell somebody my experience. I was driving down the road near the rock when my car stalled. It just died out of nowhere. It was freezing, and I was pretty angry because I had just gotten my car back from the shop the day before. So I got out and I opened the hood, and that's when things got strange. I saw something out in the tree line, and it was making its way towards me. It was big, and its eyes seemed to glow in the dark. And as I got closer, I could see that it was covered with hair, but it was walking like a man. I was terrified, and finally I couldn't take it anymore, and so I slammed the hood down, and, I tried to scare it. When strange thing is my car started right up. But I, didn't stay to think about things. I just had to get out of there.
It was a relief to talk to someone that could validate what I saw. But the strange thing here is that, in spite of how terrified I was, I'd give anything to have another look at that thing, or to communicate with it. But I think it was a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
I've heard people say that that rock is some kind of gateway that lets creatures from some other reality or dimension cross over to this side. But if that's what that other dimension has, well, I hope they stay where they are, because I never want to see that thing again.
My advice to those who want to come and visit Chickies Rock is, number one, come during the day. It's a beautiful hike down from local Route 441. Watch
Columbia.
out for snakes as you're hiking. Watch out for poison ivy. And don't come alone. And even if you do, you might find out you won't be here alone.
Chickies Rock, Route
Poison
441,
Poison
3rd
ivy
Street,
will nail
Columbia.
you. Oh.
It's real.
You got it on that hiking thing, poison ivy. That's proof that that's where you got it.
Wow. Our local haunting. Yeah.
They didn't really talk about too many people they talked about people who ended their lives, but there were accidents there too. People who were climbing the hiking trail and fell.
Oh, yeah.
They don't talk too much about that.
Well, that's what was the haunting part, though. That was the spiritual phenomenon.
Whether they felt because they saw something,
Who knows?
or whether the things they're seeing.
We'll never know.
The thing that's the Bigfoot guy is probably somebody went to hell, came back. That's what I'm thinking about the bad guy. Somebody went to hell. Do you have it on there to show Tommy? Make sure it works first. Did you delete it yet?
Yeah.
You can recover it again if it don't work. Make sure it works.
So there it is.
But you have it on the red guy. You better get it. It's gonna take the M&M off the red guy. He'll get hot.
Okay.